So there's one more big release of the week. This one, completely different demographic.
Oh, yes.
Prince of Persia.
This is a real chick flick.
This is, we have a Prince of Persia fan in the audience.
All right.
Go away. Tell us about Prince of Persia. Do it.
Prince of Persia, based on the video game, starring Jake Gyllenhaal as the Prince of Persia. Okay, here's how I read this movie. This takes place a long time ago, when Persia was a mighty Middle Eastern empire, ancient medieval times, and Jake Gyllenhaal is an orphan kid who's adopted by the ruler of the Persian Empire and grows up to become the adopted prince with two older brothers. And suddenly there's a weird succession issue with the throne, and it all centers around conquering some neighboring kingdom with this woman who runs it, and then there's a magic dagger that lets you go back in time 60 seconds, and somehow Ben Kingsley's responsible for all of it. Clip. I have to say, the thing I love most about that clip that we just showed is the dialogue. I think it's one of the best written scenes in the movie.
It really is. And you know,
it's great.
Actually, it does bring up an interesting point where when you get a movie like Prince of Persia, which is a Jerry Bruckheimer film, which has to play worldwide, you really want to build in certain chunks of the movie without dialogue. Because it's got to play all over the world.
We just saw there all of that jumping over rooftop stuff. That's like 85% of the movie.
Yeah, you know, the Jerry Bruckheimer stuff at this point, it's a formula. He does it well, I guess. It just depends on whether or not you're interested in the world that he's putting you into. I think a lot of people really like National Treasure, and they made a second one, and they're making a third or fifth or ninth one. This one, the problem with this one is that, although it's basically acceptably whatever, Jake Gyllenhaal, while he's handsomer and better than I thought he'd be, he's really too amiable a presence to really hold this franchise on his back. He's okay. And the woman who plays the princess, Gemma Arterton, she's a cold fish. The two of them have no chemistry. You know, they really don't.
I don't think anyone in this film has chemistry with anyone else. I don't think they're meant to. The problem here, and I was sitting with our friend Tim, and there was a point when this plot is getting so convoluted, and they're talking about, well, if you take the dagger and you push the jewel, it sends you back a minute, but I need to return the dagger to the mountain that it came from unless we can bring it underground and stick it in the thing. But then if you pull the jewel off in the sands of time, and it's this whole complicated, convoluted set of rules about what the dagger can and can't do and what it will and won't facilitate. And I said to Tim, I go, you know, if I were on level 32 of the game, trying to get to level 33, I'm sure all of that would make perfect sense to me. But right now, I just want somebody to tell me a story. And I'm not being told a story. I'm being given a set of rules that are facilitating a chase scene that lasts 2 and some odd hours. It's not about 110 minutes or whatever this winds up being. It's not interesting. Well, and it feels like a generic convolution of the Mummy movies and the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and a little bit of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It had a real Marianne Close Your Eyes moment at the end, with Ben Kingsley playing an amalgam of every villain he's ever played. And it got so tiresome and generic, and I was really disappointed that Mike Newell, of all people, directed this.
Well, Mike Newell has had a very odd career where he started out doing these small films like Four Weddings and a Funeral.
Enchanted April, with Alfred Molina, who's really the best thing about this.
That's true. And you know, you mentioned story, and I had said to you after the screening, you realize that Prince of Persia is an Iraq War allegory.
Yeah,
you realize it is, because in the movie, the good guys, right, played by the very white Jake Gyllenhaal, right? Yeah. He leads an army that invades another land, basically another kingdom, because there are weapons in that kingdom, but they were told by a spy that the weapons were there when really the weapons aren't there. So it winds up being this Iraq War allegory. I'm just saying, it is.
Okay, I think you're giving it way more credit than it deserves.
I'm just saying, there's a little subtext going. Look, I've got to derive some pleasure from this stupid movie.
Well, it's just.
But I'm saying it makes sense.
All it's designed to do is to bank off of the video game a little bit, get some people into the theater, throw a thrill ride at them for 100 minutes, hope that they tell their friends to do likewise, pump out a couple of weekends, maybe pump out a few more million on DVD, and then just shuffle it into the vault and move on to the next Jerry Bruckheimer movie. There is no depth or aspiration to this film whatsoever. It's almost like they're not even trying. They know exactly what they're making, and they know it's unremarkable, and so why bother?
It's product. I mean, really, it's just studio product. Although I'll say this, the movie does have an ostrich that wears a hat.
Yes!
Look at that!
Yes!
It was the best moment in the movie. In the movie...
Ostrich.
What?
Is he dapper?
Is he dapper?
No.
He's just an ostrich in a hat. Was he like wearing a tuxedo or something?
Now they don't want to know what kind of hat.
What kind?
Fez.
Huh?
Fez?
No, it wasn't a fez. It was a hat. It was a red hat that went over his, from the top of his head to about a third down his neck.
Oh, burqa.
Whatever.
Oh, it was an ostrich burqa.
Burqa.
See?
Burqas.
And then hundreds of years later, we have Sex and the City too. It's all a continuum. Wait, see how that works?
Yeah, boy do I ever.
Exactly. Anyway, so there are much better Jerry Bruckheimer films you could be renting, as opposed to seeing this.
Well, why even bother talking about Jerry Bruckheimer films? They're better films.
Because you know what? Because a film like Prince of Persia is not a director's film; it's a producer's film.
Yeah, but Bruckheimer, ever since, let's be honest with this, and ever since Bruckheimer departed from his partnership with Don Simpson, not voluntarily, because Don Simpson turned up dead at the bottom of a pool, but ever since that partnership ended, he's just made nothing but crap. And I mean, it's been successful crap, but it's crap.
I find that some of the Bruckheimer films directed by Tony Scott are okay.
They're okay, but he's overly obsessed with making films that plug into a certain commercial archetype. And every one of them has to be a that kind of a film, a this kind of a film, a that kind of a film, so that the studios in question can market it according to a template. And as long as he's making movies according to a template, nobody can make a movie that anyone wants to see.
Well, yeah, because he is a producer who is a brand. There are very few directors can be a brand, a Spielberg film, a Tarantino film, but very few producers are a brand.
Being a brand doesn't mean that you have to make junk.
But that's his brand. His brand is junk.
Okay.
And so, and you know what? And if you step up to the plate enough times, you'll get a couple of hits. But basically, his brand is junk.
Pirates of the Caribbean is the only time that has ever worked for me.
You think Prince of Persia was confusing? I'm still trying to figure out
the first Pirates
of the Caribbean.
2 and 3. I'm not including 2 and 3. Not 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are horrible. But one is terrific.
All right. So basically, if you have $10 to spend this weekend, you got a choice between Sex and the City or Prince of Persia. Send your girlfriend to Sex and the City. You go see Prince of Persia, and then you'll all be happy.
And you can both complain about it afterwards.
Yes.
About
everyone
wasting
go
your
see
money.
Sex and the City.
You're out of your mind.